Hello everyone, it's Padel here with some big news. We are starting a new league. No, not just entering one, we are starting a new one. After playing in PDL, KJ, Kiluabum and I decided to get together and start a league of our own, with our preferred rules and tiers and most importantly, fully Wi-Fi so there won't be any showdown games in the middle and you can enjoy the great aesthetics of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Thus, the Pokemon Draft Dynasty or PDD League was born. It is a 14-coach league with mandatory uploads, an 8-week-long regular season followed by 3 weeks of playoffs until a champion is crowned. The rule set is very heavily inspired by PPL, especially in the Terra Captains, which can be up to 3, chosen from tier 9 and lower, with some banned from Terrain because otherwise we thought they'd be too OP. And the cumulative cost of your Terra Captains cannot exceed 15. 3 Terra types per captain can be chosen, one of which has to be stabbed, while the other 2 are at the coach's discretion. Speaking of coaches, be sure to go check out all the other coaches that are participating in the league. I will be leaving the links to their channels down below in the description, even though I assume that if you're watching me, you probably know them already, since I'm the newest on this scene. But anyway, I think that's pretty much everything there is to cover about the league, so let's get into the draft recap for the Glasgow Gliscorers. So, about a week ago, the draft order was revealed, and we were 8th once again. Which means that we're dead in the middle of the draft, which is not a great position to be in, because you're gonna have to wait a lot between one pick and the other, and you're likely gonna be left with the mid choice every turn, but we did manage to get some good ones anyway. So, for my first pick, I wanted something new or something spicy, something that's fun to use and that I possibly haven't used yet. I had 7 ideal mons in mind, which is quite unfortunate as I was 8th. Thus I was very afraid that I would miss out on all of them because all of them would get picked because they were very strong Pokemon and I was very afraid that they'd all get picked. Things like Sneasler, Landorus, Iron Valiant, Dragapult, those were all picked. Luckily, my third favorite option, which is what I was gonna go for if Sneasler and Landorus were taken, was still available. And so I chose Enamorus. Enamorus is a super powerful mon, both specially and physically. It is quite fast, very versatile, which I value a lot in my first pick. It can run either physical or special sets with any choice item it prefers, or Calm Mind, Iron Defense, or Contrary Superpower as well for a free bulk up boost while it attacks. It can make great use of a wide variety of items and has a lot of sets to choose from. One unfortunate aspect about Enamorus is that it's the only genie that doesn't get U-turn, which is really an injustice. Why do you have to do her like that? But I think she makes up for it in power and versatility. And another thing is that 106 speed, while being quite fast in its own right, isn't great either, as it keeps us under the fairly common 110 speed tier. So that's going to be something we have to be wary of. Either way, I think this mon is going to be amazing and pretty hard to prep for. And I couldn't have asked for a much better first round pick at the 8th seed. Now, for my second turn, I was originally going to go with Heatran, as it covers Enamorus' weaknesses perfectly, and together they're super strong core. Heatran is an amazing defensive mon, and its ground weakness, which is its main weakness, is also covered by Enamorus' flying type, so they would be very great together. As turns went by though, I saw a mon that I didn't expect to make it this far. So my plans changed, and I picked HISUIANS Samurott instead. This is probably the best hazard setter in the game right now, with the move Ceaseless Edge, being able to set up spikes while also attacking and dealing a lot of damage. It has good typing, both offensively and defensively, decent bulk, and an amazing ability in sharpness, which boosts the power of cutting moves, such as Ceaseless Edge, Razor Shell, Aqua Cutter, which are all stab, and also its coverage moves in Sacred Sword, Aerial Ace, among others. It also has Knockoff and Priority Aqua Jet. And honestly, you really can't ask much more from a second pick Pokemon, or from a Pokemon in general. HISUIANS Samurott is so great, and I'm sorry Danny, but I had to pick this. Now on the third round, I was hoping for Heatran to make it back to us, but predictably it didn't. In fact, it was sniped from us right after our pick from the very man we stole Samurott from, and so Danny got Heatran. So I went with my second choice, an extremely powerful breaker instead of a defensive powerhouse. I picked Hisuian Arcanine. We are going all in the Hisuians. I told y'all I would be snagging all of them. I love them, they're so fun and they're so strong. Arcanine gives us basically a super powerful Oko button in Rockhead Head Smash, provided we hit, and Flare Blitz. It also has Wild Charge for coverage versus water types, even though Head Smash will likely do more damage most of the time, but it's still nice to have an alternative super effective move that's 100% accurate. It also has extreme speed to compensate for its own lack of speed, which at 90 isn't bad, but it could be better. And it can also go for a special set or a more defensive set with Intimidate, Morning Sun for reliable recovery, Will-O-Wisp, and Stealth Rock. Though its typing sets it back a bit in this regard, as Rock and Fire is weak to a ton of stuff. Regardless, with a choice band, Scarf, or just boots, and a plethora of options, this mon can go absolutely insane. It is one of the most powerful mons in the format in terms of raw damage, and in my opinion, one of the most fun as well, and I'm super happy I got this. At round 4, we really needed to grab some hazard removal, as we don't want to end up in another PDL situation where we're forced to pick Colossal as our only way of removing hazards, because we forgot to pick one early on in the draft. Now, almost all of the great ones were already picked, like the Dawn family, Quaquaval, Corviknight, Cyclizar, and Caesar, but there was one that managed to evade the masses and make it to us right in time for our pick. Noivern. This mon is super fast. Despite its relatively low special attack, it also hits pretty hard with Hurricane, Draco, and Boom Burst because of the high base power of these moves. It has great utility in U-Turn, Taunt, Whirlwind, Super Fang, and more niche Tailwind. It has great fire, fighting, and ghost coverage. It's incredibly fast, and with HP investment, it's deceptively bulky as well. It's one of my favorite defoggers in the format. It's also so versatile, and I'm so glad I was able to draft this. I love this mon. Plus, its shiny is top tier. Our team so far is looking great, but I do realize I don't really have bulk, do I? Like, sure, Samurott is fairly bulky, and Noivern can take a hit or two, but I'm really lacking a good defensive mon, and no, defensive Arcanine doesn't count as a good defensive mon. It counts as an optional defensive mon. So I went through the list and found one that seemed very good for me. Galarian Slowbro. Not only does it have good defense and HP, it also has Regenerator as an ability, and it can absorb Tick Spikes on switching, allowing us to remove those pesky hazards that would otherwise be a nuisance for our team if we don't manage to defog them away. Plus, it also gives us a reliable defensive fighting resist for Arcanine and Samurott. Galarian Slowbro is different from its Cantonian counterpart in the sense that it can also go with a more offensive set, with Quick Draw, Nasty Plot, or Belly Drum, depending on what stat you want to prioritize, since it has a very respectable 100 in both attack and special attack. It is a bit less fat than regular Slowbro, but I feel like its typing suited my team a lot better, plus with its stats it can deal a fair bit of damage while still being a defensive set, so I feel like that's very valuable. Overall, I'm really satisfied with my choice. Now, looking at my team, I really need a ground resist. Sure, we do have 2 ground immunities in Noivern and in Amorous, but I feel like ground immunities make it too easy to read the switch for our opponent, because with Arcanine, we're never gonna stay in versus a faster Iron Treads, for example. So it's really easy to predict the switch in either Amorous or Noivern and go for a move that's not ground type, possibly even an Ice Spinner that hits it super effectively and Okos it. So I felt we needed a grass type. Okay, it doesn't deal with the Ice Spinner dilemma, but that's a niche situation. It deals with other stuff, okay? Because having a ground type that's not an immunity would at least make it a bit less obvious what I'm switching into against a ground attacker. This round was also supposed to be the one where we get our first Star Captain, but before my turn came back around, I got sniped by Lily and lost my beloved Hisuian Decidueye, the most underrated mon ever. I had such big plans for this mon. I was super excited to draft it, and I didn't expect anyone to draft it. It also would have given us a second defogger, which is always useful, and a very bulky mon. Plus, to add insult to injury, its Alolan counterpart also got picked immediately after. But I adapt and decide to pick up a different grass type, Rotom-Mow. I know, this kinda goes against the whole point I just made about immunities and resistances, but I felt like Rotom brought a lot of good to the table for us. It gives us a fairly bulky grass type with good defenses, although low HP, which is the downside of picking him on whose base form is Ghost type, as low HP is a common weakness among ghosts. It also has Volt Switch for the popular Voltorn core, which gives us a fair bit of momentum which we were lacking, and its ability to play either support or offense with a defensive status spreader set with Thunder Wave or Will-O-Wisp, or a Specs or Scarf set will be really useful to us. So with my 7th pick, I was looking to end my quest for bulk. I was eyeing the Ting-Lu that had somehow evaded everyone's eyes until now, but predictably I got sniped again by none other than Gravy at the start of the 7th turn. My alternative now was gonna be Goodra, for a very bulky mon that can also counter big threats such as Chi-Yu and Iron Bundle. Yes, despite the type disadvantage in Assault Vest, Goodra goobs Iron Bundle. And a great Terra Captain option. But we get sniped by Lily again. This person single-handedly ruined 2 of my plans. So as my turn comes around, I look over the board and see that there's another mon that can fill a similar role as Goodra. So I pick Goodra, the Hisuian form. At the cost of 14, it definitely felt a bit overpriced, but we had the points to spare. Goodra can be an insane defensive threat with the ability Shell Armor, allowing it to set up with its signature move Shelter without the fear of getting crit, Body Press to make use of those boosts offensively, and Rest to keep itself healthy. It also has a massive 150 special defensive stat that it doesn't even need to boost because it's already so high it won't die from a special attack. It can also run Sap Sipper for the odd Spore or Assault Vest sets for maximum special bulk. Plus, it has very respectable offensive stats, as well as a wide move pool with tons of coverage, so a bulky special attacking set is also an option. I was aiming at regular Goodra because I'm a lot more comfortable with it, since I've used it a ton in the past to great success, but I'm still really happy with my choice and I'm excited to try out this new version of one of my favorite mons. From here on out, I was trying to round out my team and cover for the typings and speed tiers I'm missing and the weaknesses I still have. The 3 I needed the most were a ground, ghost, and fighting type, and for the latter, I spotted one Pokémon that also helped cover for my team's fire and ice weaknesses, and a really good mon in its own right, so I snatched Hariyama as quickly as possible. Hariyama is insanely bulky with its massive HP pool, and the ability to Thick Fat makes it pretty much the best counter to both Iron Bundle and Chi-Yu, which I was quite worried about running into. It also has a really high attack stat to pair with a stab close combat, the elemental punches for coverage, high BP moves such as Headlong Rush and Stone Edge, Knockoff for utility, Bullet Punch for priority. It is just overall a very solid mon, especially this late into the draft, and it definitely felt like a steal. Now we needed to patch our speed tiers up. We're doing alright, but having Enamorus be our fastest mon after Noivern is not ideal. It's got solid speed at 106, but being below the common 110 threshold is pretty rough. So for our 9th pick, we take our first Terra Captain, Cantonian Tauros. This mon is great. I've really enjoyed using it every time I had it. It's got great speed and a very respectable attack stat, plus the ability Sheer Force, boosting the power of its Stab Body Slam, as well as coverage moves in Iron Head, Zen Headbutt, Stone Edge, among others. It is capable of really punching holes into the enemy team. Its new move Raging Bull is also amazing. At 90 BP with Stab, it allows us to break screens, thus making screens offense teams think twice before bringing this annoying strat against us. With Terra Normal for even more powerful body slams, Terra Ground to hit the steel and the rock types with massively powerful earthquakes, and Terra Ghost to be able to beat ghost types, Tauros is gonna be an amazing team member in my opinion. We're nearing the end of draft and we still haven't got a single ground type to block Volt Switch, as well as other scary electric type attacks from Jolteons and Electrodes and a bunch of electric threats that are around, nor a ghost type for spin blocking, which greatly benefits Samurott and its spikes. There is one mon on the board that can cover for both these types for us, so at round 10 we pick up Palisand. Admittedly, this is not a mon that I'm super familiar with. I've always liked it, but never really tried using it. It's really bulky, it's got good special attack which enables it to use its Earth Power and Shadow Ball or Hex effectively, even while being a defensive set. It gives us a much needed stealth rocker, as our only one so far was Arcanine, which is not a good stealth rocker. Its role is much different. And it has reliable recovery with Shore Up. It is also our second Terra Captain with Terra Ground, Water and Fairy as its options, and I'm glad I was able to pick this thing up to finally try it out. It's such a cool mon, it's such a cool shiny once again. So many of our mons are sick shinies. And finally, our last pick. We've pretty much used up all our points, having only 2 left, but there were no tier 2 mons that really piqued my interest. Instead, at 1 I spotted a very interesting mon that I couldn't not take, and that is Tropius. Now, Tropius is not a good mon by any means. There's a reason this mon cost 1. With its very awkward stat spread and in general low BST, it's not really adept at anything, although a Subseed set with Harvest can be annoying to break through. But with Terra, I felt like it could put in some work. It's got Dragon Dance and Swords Dance to boost, as well as Growth in case the sun is up. Not great, but decent enough coverage with both physical and special options. Tailwind and U-Turn, and it was one of the best mons in the lowest tier. Hopefully Terra Grass, Steel and Dragon will be enough to push it to viability, but we'll see. For now, I'm pretty happy to have it on my team. And so we reached the end of our draft. Our team is looking really colorful for sure, and quite good to be honest. It does have some weaknesses in very little momentum, with only Noivern and Rotom as 2 good U-turners slash Volt Switchers, and I can definitely see us making some trades along the way to cover for some of the most common weaknesses that we see. But to be honest, I'm quite satisfied with what I built. We were the 8th seed, so there's also that. It's pretty hard to pick up a lot of very high value mons when you're always in the middle and always have to wait 12 or 14 picks before you can choose. But yeah, I'm super excited to see how this team will do, and most importantly, I'm super excited to get into the battles and face some of our great coaches, which I once again encourage you to check out. And yeah, I don't have much else to say about this. Please leave a comment down below saying what you think of the team and how you think we're gonna do. And that's pretty much it for this draft recap. I hope it was interesting, I hope it was fun, and I'll see you next Sunday for our week 1 upload, which I highly encourage you to check out because it's gonna be a fun one. I have something planned for it. Yeah, that's all. Bye bye.